Coming up next on RaceSpot TV, it's round number 11 of Monday Night Skippys here. Oulton Park, Foster's, it's a short lap, it's fast racing, it's like Lime Rock Park in the UK. Join us in just a few moments. Monday night, welcome to RaceSpot TV here and iRacing Live. Richard Whiteford, Linus Brodstrom and Connery Maddock. It's Monday Night Skippys. We're back and, well, times are close. Tom Ward is qualified in 9th place. He might be leading the championship, but he's not leading qualifying here today. This one is furious, it's quick, and unlike so many of the tracks, it's actually right-handed turns, so it's going to be an interesting one for us. But Connery, after a weekend of incredible motor racing, we come here for our own dose.
Yep, exactly. And, well, currently in the provisional qualifying, it is, as we've seen a couple of rounds in this season, it's going to be Gary Toll topping those qualifying standings at the moment. And he has an absolutely insane amount of qualifying pace that we've seen this season. Hopefully he can start to convert that into race pace and maybe challenge Tom Ward in the race.
Certainly could. And Linus, well, the points are very close. If we take a look at those standings, we have them there for you just on the screen. Oh, things are very interesting. Tom Ward, okay, he's running off into distance. Won this one already. But Stuart Adcock, Gary Toll tied on 161 points. Fight for second place is super close.
Yeah, it was pretty close going into last week's round, and the results there were perfect for the standings, and it can go anyone's way in these two last rounds of the championship. So all of these guys around fighting for second place will have to be on top of their game in both these races.
Certainly is, and we have an entry we haven't actually seen before. Sarah Savage, who is qualified in 8th place. That's an entry we've not seen previously. And also Kane Halliburton. Never seen that guy before in the race, so interesting to see another great qualification from them too. We'll keep our eyes on how this one's going. Qualifying is at an end, so we'll go to your qualifying results. On the pole today is Gary Toll, 104.787. Might not be Boeing, but he's definitely not Dreamlinering of this position. Stuart Adcock second place with Chris Malcolm in 3rd, Seymour Harding in 4th, Ben Daniels in 5th, Mick Watson 6th place, Jake Tucker, Sarah Savage, Kane Halliburton, Tom Ward in 10th. After that, it's Bill Fraser, Steve Hefford, Neil Middleton, Robert Blumley, Stuart McFadden, Ryan Loynes, Paul Thurston down in 17th with Stephen Harpham in 18th, Matt Cox and Josh Thompson, your top 20. Rest of those positions all the way down to 40th on your screen now. As we get ready to start this one, and wow, we'll look at the times, Connery. 104.787, whereas our 105.7 as we look down your standings. This one goes all the way down to 31st place within a second.
Yeah, very, very, very tight field indeed, and this just exemplifies that. Another thing that exemplifies it, there are only 3,000, no, yeah, that's 3,000ths of a second between P4 and P5. That's Seymour Harding and Ben Daniels. So that is the margin between those two guys, as slim as it's going to be. And, well, I can't wait to get this race underway if the race is going to be that close as well.
Certainly is. Stuart Adcock just tiptoed in there into second place in the last seconds. Chris Malcolm, third place. He was really in for the shot a couple of races ago, so could be seeing interesting stuff from him. Seymour Harding up there as well. Ben Daniels making his way back up into the front of this one, along with the likes of Jake Tucker. And the new entries of Savage and Halliburton. They'll be interesting ones to keep an eye on, of course, as we get ready for this one. Well, all the way to the back of the grid. That's all the way down the bottom of the hill from the starting spots here. Bit of a unique feature of Oulton Park, unless you've been here in real life. That's not a shallow climb up to the starting grid.
No, it doesn't look that steep actually on the cameras, but when you're there in real life, that is really, really steep. So, gonna be interesting to see how they handle that.
It certainly is, and well, for a lot of this field, just like if you're a fan coming to Oulton Park to watch racing, this place is a tough one to get out of after a day of racing, and well, we'll see how many of these guys can get out of turn 1 and the first lap. This place is tight, it's fast, and it's going to be an incredible race here. Frontier Field lining up now on the grid slots. The engines will start to rev. Round number 11 will be going green in just a few moments' time. Although apparently they weren't revving their engines, they were just practicing because they wanted to see if I'd jump at the start. I did. So we've got another about 30 or 40 seconds to wait on this one, as they won't be revving their engines just yet because they're probably going to pop again quickly, Connery. And that's something we've been really seeing a lot of.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen it much more this season than we've seen it last season. Maybe they're going to start this time.
Yes, it could be. Yes, looking like we're ready to go, and green flag will wave. We're away, and it's a slow start by Gary Tall. Stuart Adcock with a big run already from second place. Already going to the outside of Tall into turn 1. If we look back behind him, cars already on the grass, coming across the track. Malcolm goes wide, goes off the track. Bill Fraser will go through. Tom Ward shooting the gap there, as Bill Fraser and a number of other these cars will fit their way through. And the scrum down as Malcolm goes off again. I think that's actually, looks like Paul Thurston. Yes, it was. Paul Thurston off as well. A number of cars have already gone off the track. Another one down in Foster's, as it's absolute Armageddon here, Linus.
Yeah, we had a couple of incidents there at the start. Like you said, Paul Thurston went off, and then we had one just in front of him as well. I'm trying to figure out who that was.
Well, out front, Gary Tall is just holding on. Stuart Adcock in second place with not Malcolm anymore, it's actually Harding. We've got Ben Daniels there as well, Mick Watson, Jake Tucker, Savage, Halliburton, Ward, as we'll look a little bit further back as well. We've lost a number of cars. The lap is nearly over though. Everyone's managed to find a gap in the traffic here. This one is certainly a bit crazy. 3 wide into the final corner further back in the field with Kip Stevens in the 11. They just filtered out there. It's 2 wide of the climb up the hill. Just ahead of him, that's Tim Adcock. Neil Bontemps there as well. A number of cars involved in this one. Chris Malcolm just about survived. Okay, looks like that livery wasn't him. Thing is, Connery, he's been driving a different livery recently. His old classic livery is on a different car now. Somebody else is running that. I keep getting confused.
Yeah, makes our job just a little bit harder, but we will deal with it as these guys are on lap 2 right now. And as you saw at the start of the last lap, at the start of the race, there have been quite a few casualties already during this course of this race, and a couple of cars having an incident in the early runnings, but the rest of the field is still going right now, and top 3 is still very, very close together. This is Gary Tall versus Adcock versus Malcolm, and Malcolm's going to have a look towards the inside, coming down in towards the right-hander here. This is Druid's corner, I believe, and no, he's not gonna make it.
No, he's not, but be careful. If they fight too much, the guy behind them's going to catch up. He's in 7th right now. Tom Ward. Bill Fraser just behind him there as they'll come across the line, but, well, no, he's up to 6th place, so he's hunting this lead pack, as is Adcock has gotten through to the sharp end. That one's Lodge corner, of course. Connery, not Druids, that's at Brands Hatch. But just behind them, it's Mick Watson, Harding, Malcolm, and Tall. Although running wide, there goes Mick Watson. Just dropped a wheel running through the chicane, and he will push wide. Ward takes another place, and Ben Daniels sneaking up as well.
Yeah, man, he's just trying to gain the position here, but he's going to have to take it side by side, coming down through here. and he's going to hold the inside line here. This is the actual Druids corner that I was talking about, as I get my British corner names mixed up. And actually Ben Daniels is going to push a little bit wide there, and Bill Fraser's going to take back the position there as well. And this is the large corner that I got a little bit mixed up on as they come towards the end of the lap. It's a very, very short lap here, only 1 minute 4 second lap times that they're doing here. They're not doing the full circuit as we look back towards the race lead, and it's going to be Gary Toll making his way down the inside on Stuart Adcock, and Adcock's going to get a better run out of Old Hall corner though, and he's going to take it side by side coming down towards the Avenue, Dentons and Cascades.
He clears him as Chris Malcolm had a quick look there, but managed to stay behind in third. Yep, 17 laps around Oulton Park, Foster's layout for tonight, which will be over in no time with the fast speed these guys are doing. We'll be about 17 minutes of the way the clock's counting down. As behind them, top three have just managed to break away. Mick Watson leading Tom Ward and Harding, with Fraser and Daniels also tagging onto that group. So that's our top 8 in one pack. Second pack, oh, in contact with them. Steve Hefford involved in that one as we had a bit of a shuffle there. I think one of those was Neil Middleton. We'll take a quick look where he was. It's not Middleton we're looking at, it's McFadden, who got a bit of a sideways going on, fighting with Josh Thompson, Neil Middleton, Simon Maltby and Kane Halliburton in this one, doing their best to keep themselves in one piece. Things getting a little bit crazy though in the running as Linus Harding has just crashed out. Off we had.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where that happened, but I think it was actually on the straightaway. Or coming out of Druids even.
Oh, big sideways. Big crash. Coming out of turn number 1 there, McFadden and the 49 car of Josh Thompson. And it was a solo getting loose there with Thompson in turn 1. 49 machine gets himself side. Oh, bit of a tap actually from McFadden, gets him sideways, collects Maltby. There'll be damage on those cars as he will go off the track. A number of stream past them here, but that one just got a little bit busy.
Yeah, but it did as Josh Thompson. There was a tiny little bit of contact between the two guys. Only the slightest of contact, in fact, and that just spun Josh Thompson right into a power slide coming through the first corner and collected a couple of cars behind. I think that was also Simon Maltby also getting slightly involved in that one. Manages to get away with not too much damage to his car though. He can continue on.
Certainly does, as they'll get themselves moving once again. We'll take a look back at Darryl Taylor down in the 23rd spot. Teammate to Gary Toll up at the sharp end. Barry also is one to come have a chat to us. They've got the Billy Whiz on the car there, of course in support of poor Billy and his accident in Formula 4 at Donington. But behind him, he's got his own challenge right now. Alan Patterson, Lewis Bibby, Sarah Savage and Neil Bontemps there in a train wanting to get involved in this one, as Patterson does his best to try and hold them off. And Taylor uses that as an advantage to break away. Up ahead of him his teammate Barry West, looking for Tim Adcock in the 21 car. Bear them looking towards Kip Stevens' unforgettable nightmare machine, Connery.
That's not exactly the way I would describe it, but yeah, actually Kip Stevens is doing quite well for himself right now during the course of this race. He's up quite a few positions already. He's up almost 10 positions from his qualifying position in the 28th spot, and he's running pretty well right now in a little bit of no man's land though. He has a gap to a car ahead of him, a gap to the car behind him, and meanwhile, I think that was Mick Watson going off.
It was, and that was in the final corner as he comes down and just dumps it on his own, tries to go too deep in front of Tom Ward. Well, he backs himself into the gravel, spins around, was supposed to wait for traffic before he can rejoin. In the end, decides just to take it back to pit road. His race not in great shape there. Jake Tucker also out, as is Josh Thompson at this point. Out front though, leader Stuart Adcock with Gary Toll and Chris Malcolm still behind them. The gap they've made now, it's about 1.5 seconds back to Tom Ward in the 4th spot. He's running with Ben Daniels as a 2-car train. Not going to be quite as fast as the 3-0-3-some ahead, Linus. Could this be the gap they need?
Well, if they don't battle too much, I think they're in good shape to be the 3 guys on the podium, but like we've seen before, there is a big risk of an accident towards the end of this race, so these 2 in 4th and 5th could very well be fighting for the last podium position.
Could be indeed, of course, as we know, Connery, well, you get a good gap on Tom Ward, you all run in line, everyone wins. However, you start fighting, you let Tom Ward get into his specialist area, which is close quarters racing, and nobody has a chance. If Tom Ward can catch you, you will get involved in some elbows out racing, and Well, those guys have to focus on staying ahead and staying clean, keeping their speed up, keeping that gap.
Yep, they do. There's actually problems for the 147 car. This is Robert Plumley having a little bit of contact, maybe coming down into turn 1. Yeah, in fact, that was with Stuart McFadden, the number 53 as well. Just a little bit of 2 into 1 there. Just does not go. Stuart McFadden pushed up a little bit during the corner, and Robert Plumley just cut down a little bit too much. And that almost always ends in an incident with no one's fault in particular.
Certainly does. Just dove it in there. Couldn't quite hold it down as Plummy turned in low, and round he goes. Not his day. Up towards the sharp end, it's Adcock, it's Tall, it's Malcolm holding their line as Tom Ward has problems. What have we got here? He's left. Tom Ward's retired the car. We'll see what's happened to him as, oh, I think it's a motor. He comes into the penultimate corner sequence here, Connery, and just as he pulls out the corner, no, the car loses power.
He's just parked it and left. Nothing,
Yeah,
I don't think anything happened. The engine didn't blow. He just parked it and left.
Yeah, he just parks. He pulls over. He retires voluntarily. Couldn't get up to leaders, perhaps not wanting to race otherwise. Seems like an odd retirement there from Tom Ward, but, well, things definitely on the interesting side now. We are going to see a different winner for sure. Who will get the most points here, though? Adcock and Tall are tied. This is big times for these guys.
Yeah, exactly. This is not just for the race win as it is at the moment. This is also for the lead of the championship coming in towards the final round. And so having that advantage going into the final is all important.
It's for second. Tom Ward has already won.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Sometimes we just like to forget that Tom Ward is so far ahead. But this is battle for position in the championships as well, as well as for the race win right now. Meanwhile, there's a little bit of battling back in your pack. Actually, this was the number 5 and the number 99. This is Peter Cowan and Stuart Bunyan. As Bunyan does not get a good run out of the final corner at all, and he risks losing 2 positions here to the cars on his right hand side. Cesare Rizzo's there as well. Gives a little bit of a love tap to the rear end of Peter Cowan's car there, but those guys will still keep it going and just gonna hold the position coming through turn number 1.
Cesare Rizzo there, just giving a bit of a wing tap to the back of Peter Cowan, a bit of a speed boost perhaps, although misplanted where he put his nose. Not NASCAR, you don't bump draft people here in this sportliness.
No, these cars aren't really made for bump drafting, even though we've seen that a couple of times, but in open wheel cars you generally don't want to make any contact whatsoever.
Absolutely, of course. We've got an interesting fight here for the 4th spot, and that is Ben Daniels and Bill Fraser, 13-13, doing battle here, coming to the final corner. Fraser very fast, got a good run through there to the final sequence. Can he convert it into a pass on the front stretch? Has a good draft on Ben Daniels. Will he look to the inside? Daniels not going defensive, but Fraser stays in line, focusing on speed here. They've dropped about another second now. It's 3 seconds between themselves and Chris Malcolm in 3rd. As they're 2 wide for the lead. Malcolm making a move here. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Tall making a move. Malcolm was just sitting behind Adcock. Adcock still holding onto the front step here. Connery. This trio not quite done deciding this one on lap 11 here of 17. The clock is winding down fast.
Yeah, as they head their way out of the corner called Nickelbrook up under the bridge right now, and Chris Malcolm does have a run maybe coming down into Druid's corner, and maybe Gary Tall has a run onto Adcock coming down into Druid's, but they all decide to just back out of it just for now as they head out of there. And meanwhile, Chris Malcolm carries some good momentum, and it's going to be 3 wide on the way down towards Lodge Corner. Is it only just as actually Gary Tall's going to lose out quite a bit here with Chris Malcolm on his outside, but he manages to mitigate the damage by holding that inside line as Chris Malcolm pushes wide.
He does indeed, and across the line they'll come again. Still the same order as it has been. Everyone's been patient until the final few laps here, Linus. These guys not really doing anything yet. They want to focus on that gap. They've lost some time to Daniels and Fraser, who are racing a bit more cleanly here, catching up at the moment. So if these two can get up, that'll be 5 for the lead. Kane Halliburton's recovered from where he dropped back initially. He's up in 6th place now. Hefford in 7th, Cox 8th. Middleton and Maltby your top 10. Maltby recovering here. Top 10 finish for him would be big news. If we look at the point standings, Simon Maltby has not had a fantastic season. He's in 1 piece for now. He's down the order, I believe. Can't see it right now, but we'll have a look at this one. A few of these guys really are edging into the top 10, and this could be big for the guys like, of course, Fraser, who's sitting in 4th place. Also for McFadden and Cox, who's in 12th. He could push his way into the top 10.
Yeah, he's really looking for things to happen up ahead. I don't think he can get into the top 10 on pace, but if there's one more retirement, he's going to be right there.
Certainly could be. Keeping an eye here on Maltby is just ahead of him. It's Hefford and it's Cox side by side there, with Middleton and Maltby just behind them. As the final corner they'll come. 72 and 866 there. Running alongside each other as we'll head towards turn number 1. Cox on the inside, or Maltby tries to look up the inside there. Middleton doesn't quite go for it, but it remains too wide, and Cox holds the inside there ahead of Hefford. Will Hefford have the inside line for the turn down the hill into turn number 2? He does. He runs wide. Matt Cox off the track. Will he rejoin? Oh, where does he rejoin? He holds it safely. Very nice recovery across the grass from Matt Cox. That could have been absolutely apocalyptic, Connery.
Yeah, that could have been a very, very, very ugly incident right there, but good decision from Matt Cox for slowing it down as much as he did, and also rejoining the track at a much more acceptable angle than it was looking like he was going to do in front of traffic. So good racecraft there from Matt Cox. And meanwhile, looking towards this battle for the race lead, absolutely nose to tail P1, 2, and 3. They're going to head 3 wide, coming down into turn number 1, as Gary Toll's actually going to back out of that one a little bit and instead go 2 wide only, with Chris Malcolm coming through turn number 1. Chris Malcolm will pick up that 1 position, but they're a little bit nervous about going 3 wide here. Not what we're used to seeing.
Absolutely does, of course. Chris Malcolm to second place behind Stuart Adcock. What's he got for that very dominant number 52 in this one? This could be big points differences between Adcock and Tall for that second place position in the championship. Arguably where the last fight really for the front of this field is in our points, and now Tom Ward has run away with this one. But time's coming down to Daniels and Fraser behind him, and we know Fraser and Daniels will get stuck in if they can catch up here, Linus. Those two are not ones to worry about veterans and about experience or championship points. They want the win themselves.
Yeah, they've dropped back a few tenths in the last couple of laps, but now that they're starting to battle at the front again, they're going to close up real quick if they just stay nose to tail. And if they become a 5-car pack, this group up at the front, things are going to go down.
They are indeed. Looks like Chris Malcolm just lost a bit of momentum up the inside. Will go Gary Tall, and he hold it in there. Good run by Tall. Runs Malcolm wide, gives him room though, and they'll stay in order. Nice attempt there by Gary Tall. Lap 15 here of 17. 3 laps to go at the moment, and not a lot of time left to make moves on this circuit. Not a lot of passing opportunities, Connery. And these guys, well, they are testing the water for later.
Yep, they are, and but they have to be careful because the pack of Ben Daniels, Bill Fraser, they will be right on the back of these guys as soon as they slow each other down enough so that these guys can catch them. Meanwhile, Bill Fraser has a good run on Ben Daniels coming down into Druid's Corner that time. Wasn't able to capitalize it on those. A good run coming out of Druid's Corner. Again, he gets stalled a little bit by Ben Daniels' car placement coming on the run down towards Lodge Corner. Is he going to have an opportunity down the inside here? No, he's going to follow very, very close behind that number 30 machine as they head on to lap 16.
They do, and Chris Malcolm catching Stuart Adcock here into 1. 2 laps to go here at Oulton Park. Foster's layout providing fantastic racing here tonight. Looking a little bit back in the field, what have we got going on? We've got the battles, just behind them, Hefford, Maltby, Halliburton and Cox. Actually no, Halliburton's off on his own. It's Hefford, Maltby, as Hefford went off the track there. Maltby just edging ahead now. Can he convert this one into a position? He does hold a spot. Moves Simon Maltby ahead of Steve Hefford into the 7th spot there, leading this train. He pushes a little wide. Can he hold on to this one? He does. Nice move there by Simon Maltby.
Yeah, that was a nice move indeed, and it was kind of a scary move as well because Steve Evans had pushed a little bit wide just after the final corner and almost rejoined in an unsafe manner that caused contact. But here he has an opportunity coming down to Stuart's corner. There's a little bit of contact, but both cars managed to keep it on the track. That was a very, very scary moment indeed. Meanwhile, side by side behind between Matt Cox and Neil Middleton on the run down towards Lodge Corner. Matt Cox will have that inside line, but he won't have a good enough exit. Neil Middleton may try and get the momentum out for the corner. Does not get it though. Matt Cox actually gets the better run out of the corner, surprisingly enough. Has an opportunity going down the inside of turn 1 on Steve Hefford.
So he does. That was very close. We'll go back to your leaders though. Final lap. Some lap traffic ahead of them here. could be one to look at. It's Paul Thurston, teammate here of Gary Tall, just ahead of them as they'll come up the final stretch now. Your leaders on the final lap here. It's Adcock, it's Malcolm, it's Tall. They're all too spread out to make a difference, really. And Maltby has a good gap over the trio behind him, who, I tell you what, if they catch him after him slowing them down like that, they will beat him something rotten. But Maltby has a good gap. Looking towards your leaders, though. Bill Fraser has gotten past Ben Daniels. Move him into 4th place. But your leaders now, 2 corners remaining. It's going to be Stuart Adcock ahead of Chris Malcolm unless he gets a killer run. And he does not. He goes off. Chris Malcolm bins it in the final corner, tries to carry too much speed to get a run on Stuart Adcock, and he just bins it. Oh my gosh. What a finale. We'll go back and cover that one in a minute as the cars come across the line. It's Adcock, it's Tall, it's Daniels in 3rd. Somehow getting back past Bill Fraser. We'll need to look at those two back just now, actually, as the field comes across the line. As a pass in the final corner for Ben Daniels up the inside of Bill Fraser. Got past him for the run to the line. Fantastic for Ben. And we must look at that one with Chris Malcolm. We'll get a replay for you. What an error. He just... Replay there. Gets a wheel on the inside curb. Puts too much power into trying to get an exit off the corner and bins himself out the final corner. Linus. Oh my gosh, how must he feel?
Well, he saw that he had the win within reach with a lap to go, but it just wasn't to be, and I don't know really what he was thinking there, because there was no way he was going to get that win without crashing Adcock, so I don't know, but he must be heartbroken from that.
Absolutely must. Wow, that was quite the finish. Well, folks, we'll run through your finishing order. Coming home with the win today, Stuart Adcock will extend his lead over Gary Tall by a point. This will get interesting in the final round. 2nd place, Gary Tall. 3rd place, Ben Daniels, after poor Chris Malcolm crashes out in the end. Then it's Ben Daniels, Bill Fraser, Kane Halliburton, Simon Maltby in 6th place, Chris Malcolm in 7th, Steve Hefford in 8th, Matt Cox and Neil Middleton in 10th. Behind them, McFadden, Siggy, Bunyan, Cowan, Barry West in 15th, Neil Bontemps, Lewis Bibby, Martin Brandon, Ian Bassi, Alan Patterson in 20th. Last lead lap cars, Mark Day, Darrell Taylor and Brian Loynes. Rest of those positions up on your screens. Linus, that got interesting towards the end.
Yeah, we had some really big battles towards the end. Well, shame to see that coming off the last corner, but overall it was a really good race, and there was battling at the front throughout the whole race, which is really fun to see.
Certainly is. Well, folks, we're going to pop to a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with post-race interviews in just a second. Welcome back to Race Sport TV and Monday Night Skippys here on iRacing Live. Post-race interviews now coming up with some fun stories from this one. It's been a battling event for today, and well, got a couple of guys to talk to. First up, it's Simon Maltby, 6th place. Simon, what a fantastic run you had.
Thanks, Rachel. A little bit lucky with getting into trouble, but I think I held it there. And despite no pace in the practice and qualifying, actually I was keeping up with guys there. So really pleased. Thank you.
You certainly were. A fantastic run today, and finally some luck where you didn't get punted off the track by somebody else. So, one thing we do want to talk about, though, you, Hefford, Middleton, and the others, Matt Cox, little squeaky bum moment on lap 16.
Well, interestingly, I didn't feel it like that, but I was told I was on two wheels.
Yes, you were.
All I felt was a tiny little tap on the back. So, if it was scary, I should watch the replay and enjoy it then.
It was definitely a good one. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Simon Motby coming home today in the 6th spot. Well, next up, we'll go to second place finish today. Gary Tall just missing out on that top step, but it was very nearly the 3rd step until Chris Malcolm decided to kamikaze into the inside barrier.
Yeah, that's the 2nd week running that's happened, wasn't it? Steve Wareham did it last week.
He certainly did, but a fantastic run with you and Stewart, and not tied on points anymore, but it's still close going to the final round.
Yeah, he just keeps beating me, doesn't he? It was good. It was very good. He's a wily old fox sometimes how he drives. So it's interesting. You're not quite sure when he's going to slow down in the last corner. So that's why Chris got past me actually. But all's fair in love and war.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic run for second place, Gary Tall.
Thanks.
Okay, next up, I am looking through our numbers. I do see Scott Malcolm. You're down in 29th. Started in 39th, so 10 spots gained, Scott. Good run today?
That was not too bad. I've had better weeks.
Well, better weeks, but still not terrible. You managed to gain 10 spots from where you started, so always a great run.
Yeah, that's all I do. I just usually just start at the back and just dodge the wrecks and hopefully make up spaces that way.
To finish first, you must first finish. Finishing the race matters a hell of a lot more than leading the first lap, or the second or the third. So, points mean prizes. Congratulations on that spot.
Cheers. I can't see me be that front any time at all.
You never know. People have come from the back in this series to the very front, as regular viewers will know. Some of the guys, well, the ones at the front sharp end now, they started right at the back, so it can happen. Moving,
we'll see next season. See what happens.
we definitely will. Moving on now, Stu McFadden coming home today in 11th place, starting in 15th. That was a busy one.
It was. First lap was quite hectic with, I think it was 5 cars that went off in the first 5 or 6 corners, but had a couple of wee incidents with Robert Plumley, if he's watching, I'm really sorry for that incident, and Josh Thompson firing onto the grass, which I don't think's right, but anyway, we'll move on. A couple of hairy moments in the race, but overall I'm quite pleased with gaining positions, but I wasn't pleased with it not making it the top 10. I was only 1 place off it, so maybe next week we can somehow creep into it.
Absolutely, looking forward to seeing you do just that. Thank you very much for joining us. That one, Stu McFadden getting 11th place tonight, nearly a top 10, but the points is definitely looking promising. Next up, we have been joined by Barry West. The success for the Bananas, gaining 14 spots today, Barry. You managed the carnage rather successfully.
Well, yeah, I was really surprised actually. It was really hectic at the back at the beginning. I didn't use a qualifying session I didn't get a draft on the qualifying session, so I was quite pleased with that time, even though it was only 29th on the grid. But I used the qualifying session as a practice session for letting cars by and seeing what happens, because I'd done no practice whatsoever at this track, never driven this track before, not this circuit. And yeah, I saw Simon in front, and I thought I was going to catch that little group, and then it split up, and we were a little group of 3, and then the 2 in front of me came together, which gave me quite a lonely track. And then Sarah was catching up quite quick, so I thought I'd let her past and just stay on the tail. And the last lap, I don't know if you got it on film, but the last lap coming out of Druids, a car lost it. It was the middle of the track, and I just chose the left-hand side, and she chose the right, and of course the car was going right, so she got collected. So I picked up 2 places just on the last lap. So yeah, very fortuitous race, and most enjoyable.
Certainly was. Well, thank you.
Second banana home, Gary being the first banana, and unfortunately Paul and Darryl didn't do too good today.
No, unfortunately, behind you guys, the bananas were split. So, not the best way to have this one. We'll move on to you next, Paul. Yeah, not an ideal one. Home today in 26th. Good qualifying 17th, but that was... you got pinballed a bit.
I am today like 6 of the 7 dwarfs. I'm not happy. I was okay qualifying. I was okay qualifying. I mean, I was as good as I wanted to be in qualifying. That's that's what my pace deserved. But then coming into the second corner, Stephen Marvin basically just, I don't know, stuck his. He just tapped my right rear, spun me round straight into the wall. Had to take a tow. So it would have been okay, but unfortunately it was the same tow people who'd been working at the Indy 500 and they were knackered. So it seems to take 4 hours to actually get me back to the pits, and got going again, and I came out behind the field after they'd lapped me. So I was just chugging around. Picked up a few spaces, got back up to 27th basically through attrition, but it just seems to be race after race after race this season. I don't think I'm going to win the league this season somehow.
No, I think it's a tall order even in the final round for you, but still...
I wouldn't mind it so much, but I mean, if you look at where I was qualifying and the people I qualified with and I was on the pace of, that would have been the top 10. So that's the last 2 races really. I've had the pace to be a top 10, but I've been taken out really early. Well, last week, yeah, my fault, but it's annoying. But that's racing sometimes. You just have to keep going, and eventually the luck will turn.
Absolutely do. And well, thank you for joining us, Paul Thurston. Connery, that was a hectic round with some sorrow and some elation, but a busy one nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly, and it's all we can really ask for in a Monday Night Skippys race. It's what some of the best Monday Night Skippys races are made of. Battles just all throughout the field, at the front, in the middle, and at the back as well. And that is what we saw today, and it's looking good for the final round of the season next week.
Certainly is. We head off to Sebring for that final round in just 7 days' time. Linus, Sebring, Skippys, winning?
That's going to be a very interesting race, I believe. So I'll definitely be there, I hope, if my internet holds up, and I hope all of you will be there watching as well, because it's going to be an amazing race.
So do we. Well, from all of us here in the Racespot TV studio, from myself, Richard Whiteford, Linus Brostrom, Hugo Louise, and Connery Maddock, join us same time next week. Good night.